Hi, my name is Marissa Curtis, and I first of all want to thank you for letting me come in and pitch this idea to you. I know you're extremely busy, and I'm sure you have many other things to do, but giving this time to me, I really do appreciate it. So let's get started. The name of the project is Can We All Just Get Along? It is loosely based on my life story. And so I used to work for social services as an employment specialist. I helped people that were on welfare get off of welfare. And my husband was and is still a health inspector. He is in charge of giving restaurants and actually any location that sells food to the public a letter grade. He also is in charge of inspecting public pools, at hotels or at gyms. And so we've got many stories. And now I quit my job. We moved to a different state. I work as a barista and I'm going to school full time. And being a barista, I've been doing this for over a year now. And it's a soap opera in there. Many things are always happening. We've got a very, wide variety of people. I'm pretty much the oldest one there. So I've kind of become the slash counselor slash therapist slash mother to some of my coworkers. And so, yeah, I give them advice, and they usually come to me a lot, and I'm sometimes right and I'm sometimes a little bit wrong. But I always, try to do my best. And so my husband has also have gotten in some really sticky situations because, trying to close down restaurants or giving a less favorable letter to a restaurant doesn't always go very well. So that would be the concept, a married couple and the things that he goes through at work and what she goes through at work. And then his mom sells her home to purchase a smaller home, but in reality, she lost the house. She has a little bit of a gambling problem. She's widowed, and she's also looking for love. So she moves in, and her and the daughter-in-law don't really get along, don't really see eye to eye on a lot of things. So the mother's very, I could say, old-fashioned, and would like to see her son being waited on hand and foot. And so she's not really happy when that doesn't happen. So that's kind of loosely a little bit about what the story's about. Just to give you a couple of anecdotes of things that could be a potential storylines for the series. One time, these are all based on true stories, my husband had to inspect a kitchen in a church. They were not allowed to get on the premises. These church ladies would always not open the door, not let them in. And they were actually selling food to the public, supposedly to raise money for the church. Well, lo and behold, people got sick. They called the county, and my husband had to go inspect, and he had to bring the police with him. And so he needed to go. They let him in with the police, of course, and he was in there with his thermometer. Well, the ladies actually called the local news station. So there they are videotaping while my husband is checking, certain temperatures of certain foods and everything, and finding out that a lot of health code violations. And these church ladies just begin to lose it, and they have insulted my husband and called him every name in the book. So they ended up having to arrest one of the ladies because she got physical with my husband. Not too bad, but of course, when I wrote it, I made it a little bit, I exaggerated a little bit, but yeah, the base is there, the truth of the story. So that happens. And like I said, another story is when my husband and I were just dating, I wanted to take him to my favorite restaurant. It's a fantastic Peruvian restaurant, and I'm like, oh, I love it. And my husband, he is German and Scandinavian descent, so I wasn't sure he was gonna like a lot of Latin types of foods. I'm Latin, by the way, if you couldn't tell. And so I took him to this Peruvian restaurant, and I was so excited to show them this restaurant. And so we sit down, and we're eating. He orders, but I am noticing that he's uncomfortable. I'm noticing that he kind of doesn't want to look up, he keeps on looking at his food, and he's just we ate our food, and when we left, he says to me, I have to tell you something. And I'm pretty much thinking, this is not going to work because I need someone who's going to be open to all cultures and want to experience everything and just just be open to everything, to new experiences. So when he starts telling me this, I'm thinking, this is not going to work. He says, I have to tell you something, and there's a reason why I was acting a little funny at the restaurant. And I'm like, why? He goes, well, the owner, I've been trying to close this restaurant down for a couple of months now, and I've been having a lot of issues with the owner. So I didn't want the owner to see me, and I was a little bit, afraid that he might put something in my food. So that's why I kept my head down. So that restaurant's like one of the dirtiest ones, and we've been having a lot of issues with them. So I was like, oh, because people have gotten sick, and we found a lot of stuff, but they do the minimal to stay open, but they're a hazard to the public. So, like I said, that's a couple of those things. And with me as being a barista, I've actually had to help one of my coworkers come out to his family. He didn't know how to do it and what to say, and so I kind of helped. I have a neighbor that's gay, so I kind of had my neighbor talk to him, so just kind of give him some feedback and what he should do. So I get really involved in sometimes my coworkers' life, where my husband thinks, don't get so involved, but I can't help it. My background's in social services. I love helping people, and so I can't just stop. So those are a few of the stories. So we've got the characters here. So we've got the husband. I want the couple to be late 30s, early 40s, and actually to not want to have kids. And, as we're finding out, a lot of couples are kind of opting out not to have kids. And to have the gay neighbor. And so that's another character. And he is a retired naval pilot that does, I don't want him to be the typical flamboyant. I just want him to be a gentleman, a good-looking, handsome black man that is actually military, and he is retired, and he's gay. And so now we have the mother-in-law too, that she is a retired teacher. She's single, widowed. And so as the story goes, I want her to, actually become smitten with the neighbor who she doesn't know is gay. So that's another story to go with. And also we have a 10-year-old little boy named Little Johnny, who is a neighborhood, he lives in a neighborhood. He comes in every so often to the house, just lets himself in, and you can just find him at the house, playing video games, or playing games. And he has actually high functioning autism. So he doesn't say, he's a kind of a quiet kid, really smart. And the few times he does say something, he hits home in some of the things, and he kind of hits hard. And when he'll just walk in and just maybe call out somebody and what they're doing wrong, and continue and just maybe playing with the cats or playing with the video game. It's actually going to be based in Southern California, in Orange County, in the city of Cypress, where I grew up, and also Tiger Woods. That's kind of our stake to fame. So we've got that. So week to week, it would be them actually, like I said, it would be Laura is the name of the character, the wife. And then the husband's name is Kyle. The mother-in-law, her name is Carol. The neighbor, his name is Richard. And then we have little Johnny. And then we have the two cats. So what I kind of see different about this show, I do want to compare it to King of Queens. You've got the husband and the wife, and then they've got the father that lives with him. But if you notice, a lot of the couples is that, usually the wife is a more serious one that has it all together, where the husband's kind of a little bit of a mess, where she's always having to go in there and kind of like help him out or guide him in a lot of the stuff. That's not my situation. My husband is definitely the rule follower. He's all about rules and does never want to break them. If there's something that he has to read a manual, he will read it from A through Z, where I'm thinking, let's just put it together and see what happens. He's not like that. And I definitely want to show more couples like that. He's the one that's neat. I'm always leaving bombs everywhere. He calls them, my nickname is Sabella, so he calls them Sabella bombs. They are just left everywhere. And he'd be the one like, honey, can we put this back? And then I get all like, don't try to change me. This is how you married me. And so that's kind of like what it would be like. Also, I definitely feel like it's really important that the wife be Hispanic and the husband be white. And I also wanted to read this to you. So according to the Pew Research Center, the number of mixed race Americans is growing 3 times faster than the US population as a whole. And it will triple by 2060. So, having a mixed race, couple is really important. And it's, something that a lot of people are going to be able to connect with. Not having children is also something to connect with. But definitely down the line with little Johnny, as the series actually progresses, I definitely, see that, he actually, I would like him to become a part of the family and become adopted, with the family. So each week would bring something like that. So I definitely want to give you a little bit more about the characters and what they bring to the show. So just to be real specific here, we have, Laura Curtis is the main character. She's 39 years old, Panamanian Mexican descent, bilingual. She's curvy and is on a crazy diet every week. So when I'm on a diet, everybody is on a diet. So, I'll just get on these tangents and I'll start throwing things away. And of course my husband's like, why? And so I'm like, trying to fit the mold of like what the media expects me to look like. So I need to be a size 0 when I'm not a size 0. So I'm always all the time trying to figure out what diet we can go on. So we've done the cabbage soup diet, the grapefruit diet, the military diet, Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, Slim Fast. I mean, I could be here all day naming all of them, but sadly my husband's also been the victim of that. And of course, my husband's the kind of guy that as you can just cut out soda, he'll lose the weight. And I want this to be a part of that because that is so common. And I just know that when I talk to friends and everybody about losing weight, it's always like, yeah, so my boyfriend or my husband, he just cut out, drinking 1 soda a day and he lost 20 pounds. So yeah, and I know a lot of the couples too, not only are usually the women are more serious and the husband's more like the childlike. Usually the wife will be the thin one and the husband will be the little bit more got more meat on him. I want it to be the opposite. I want her to be curvy, sexy and curvy, but I want him to be just athletic and more of the thin one. So it definitely changed those roles. And what the media actually has been telling us what is normal when it's not when you look around. And so that would be, Laura. And like I said, she's the messy one, always on a diet, loves animals. They have 2 cats. And she wants to be a veterinarian. And doesn't get along too well with Carol. Her best and closest friend is her neighbor, Richard, who is gay. And they're always like doing things together. Her and Richard can get in trouble. Richard is retired. He has also too much time on his hands. So they can get into some trouble with the neighborhood and stuff. Kyle is the husband. So Kyle Curtis, he is a couple of years younger than Laura. So that'd also be a part of the joke, calling her the cougar, even though it's been they're only 4 years apart, but that would be something that they could make fun of. Because it's, pretty normal to be the same age or maybe just somebody's a few years younger. He's Norwegian descent and has been a health inspector for over 10 years. He is a foodie. He loves food. He loves to cook, but he doesn't gain weight. And that happens. So, and his mom does not like to see a man in the kitchen. So when she moves in, that's a problem because he loves to cook breakfast on the weekends and he goes all out. So that happens. And he also is a little bit of a nerd. He loves to play Dungeons and Dragons and do all that and play board games that are super complicated and stuff. So he does that. And he also dislikes the fact that his wife is always starting projects and she never finishes them. So that happens. And then When his mom moves in, they have a problem because, the mom's end up babying Kyle a lot. And Kyle's eating it all up. And it drives Laura insane. So the mother-in-law, her name is Carol. Carol Curtis, she's Norwegian descent. She's a retired teacher, so she loves telling people what to do and how to do it. She is looking for love, and she's actually online, learning how to navigate all that. She is intrusive, a little manipulative, and ultra-conservative, and believes that a man should never be in the kitchen, or he should never do his own laundry, any of those things. So Carol lost her home, but she says she sold it, but she actually lost it because she had a little bit of a gambling problem. She's lonely and thinks she wants a boyfriend, but she would really just love living with Laura and Kyle for like ever. She was really by herself, and now that she's there, she just loves being around them, even though she doesn't get along with Laura that much. But she would love to stay there. And she's also not really happy with them not wanting to have kids, so she'll always sometimes bring it up. Leave little messages here and there. So we have to talk about Richard Tillman, the neighbor. He's Laura's best friend, like I said before. He's in his 60s. He's a retired naval officer, highly decorated. He was a naval pilot. And he's single, having a hard time finding love, and has way too much time on his hands. But that actually helps his relationship with Laura, because he's also helping her get out of sticky situations. And he is the sweetest person. So there's a lot of stories with him also. Not only is he black, that he's gay. So a lot of stories can happen with that. Then little Johnny, like I said, he's 10 years old. He lives in the neighborhood. He'll just pop in whenever he feels like it. If the door is unlocked, which we normally leave it unlocked, he'll just walk in and make himself at home. He has high function autism. I think I mentioned that before too. And he is just, a very serious boy, doesn't say much, really good at video games, good at playing board games. Also great at reading people. And he will say some things that you're just like, ouch, because it's completely true. Let's not forget also that Laura has her family that also can come and visit. So things can always happen with Carol and her side of the family, and with Laura's side of the family too. They've got 2 cats. They've got Polly, who is blind, 10 years old, runs into everything. And she's got, then you got Thumbs, who's 5 years old, and a polydactyl cat, has that extra thumb, and has a bad attitude, is lazy, and wears sweaters. That's something that Carol moved in, and she is now knitting sweaters for the cats. It drives Laura crazy. And also, I don't think I mentioned this, but Kyle is highly allergic to cats, and has to constantly take medication every day, but he is keeping that as a secret. Of course, all these secrets always come out, but he has not been honest because he doesn't want to break Laura's heart, because she's always wanting to bring in animals. He'll just constantly take a pill. So that is, the characters. And then you've got the characters in the coffee shop that, they could be, like I said, all different walks of life, different ethnicities. It's also funny having to be there and be practically the oldest person there, and then have a manager that's half your age. And like I said, the stories can always evolve with whatever's happening around. I don't want to be a political show. There's, of course, with the politics, who's a Trump supporter and who's not. I don't want that to be a part of the story. Carol is very conservative in her ways of, that has nothing to do with politics. She's just a very religious person. She'll say things that sometimes can seem a little off-putting and a little could be a little racist sometimes, depending on how you look at it. So that is my show in a nutshell. I hope that you really, talk it out and see what could really work. I'm definitely able to change a couple of things, but like I said, in my heart, I know, and what's really important is to keep the couple, be a biracial couple. That's extremely important to me. I've done my studies, I've done statistics. I feel that it's important because that is just our life now. That's the way things are kind of moving towards. And definitely need to have cats in there because we love our cats. So that's really important. She just took off. But thank you again for giving me this time, and I hope to hear from you. And like I said, if there's anything else you would like for me to work on or change, let's talk it out. Thank you.